That was it. But yeah.
The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences.
What is up, everybody? Good morning. I'm your host, the Appalachian American. We have coffee, we have gaming, we have a few guests, and we have a lot of good stuff to talk about today. So, get right off to the thing. First off, we have the left-handed man himself, David Applegate.
G'day, friends and fans. Welcome to another Coffee and Gaming. Oh boy, Uncharted. We're going back to the good old days before Naughty Dog ripped off the mask and said, "No, we're woke."
Hey, and last but not least, for the episode today, the Superfan himself, Adam Shawhan.
What is up? We are here. We got coffee. We got games. We're going to have fun, and they hate that. So let's have fun, boys and girls.
Yeah, nobody likes us to have fun anymore. They just want us to be boring.
I saw an interesting article on Avowed, and those who don't know, Avowed is the latest Obsidian role-playing game that has flopped badly. A 70% drop and after the first day sales, when the first reviews came out. And a lot of people are saying it's woke. It is sort of a confused, jumbled mess, but the actual part that's not upsetting people isn't so much as the woke. It's the lack of content, the lack of story, and I think it summarizes what we're seeing with the decay of society, is that people are expecting, the maxim of capitalism, right? You do the least to get the most. And a lot of people are saying, well, that's not acceptable anymore. It's not so much the woke quantity or quality or whatever you want to call it. It's very little. Most people are complaining the lack of story, the lack of content. Now, yeah, I think gamers do expect too much. But if a company's going to charge full price, they have to give a full product.
Yeah. Hey, so a few topics that are trending. Maine still trending. Ukraine still trending. Hooters is trending.
Everybody likes Hooters.
I don't think anything.
Every sane, normal person likes
Hey,
Hooters.
Canada's trending, but nobody cares because it's Canada.
Yeah, Canada won the fourth game, which means they run the
Let's
7th.
make Canada the 51st state. Let's make Mexico the 52nd, and
annexation
in Europe and take it back and make it the 53rd. Then what you going to do when America comes for you, baby?
Putin's trending. Epstein's still trending. Good Saturday's trending. Hamas. Grok. Vegeta.
Vegeta? Why is Vegeta trending?
I don't know, but I like Dragon Ball Z, so it's cool.
I do too. That's why I'm asking. That's my guy.
Let's see. I'm gonna click it. Hang on. Oh crap!
I am very curious here.
Yeah. So am I, because it's been a long time since Dragon Ball's trended on anything.
Since the creator passed,
apparently Vegeta is in a new episode of something.
Oh,
and apparently he's way out of character. I don't know.
Well, I knew Dragon Ball when the creator died. Dragon Ball Z became a what do you call it, licensed property. They did license out a lot of stuff. I think they're breaking it up or whatever. I don't know. That might have been the artist's will, or his, he was working in a collaboration with a studio. He was no longer the sole creator, so he didn't have sole rights anymore.
Apparently, he went Super Saiyan 3 in this new whatever show it is.
Yeah.
He was versing Goma. I don't know who that is. I'm so far out of Dragon Ball Z, dude. It's been a hot minute.
They changed it. Once they went to Dragon Ball
Once it became a licensed product, yeah.
Yeah, Super
Saiyan is a licensed product, yes. And it's not the original creator's work, only the original creator's characters.
Yep.
Well,
and what is it? It's Hasbro, isn't it? Dragon Ball Z is the licensee's Hasbro, or
well,
someone
if
that's
Hasbro's
Hasbro?
getting some deals, I want some cool action figures. That'd be awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
Last I knew, it was not Hasbro that was making the
No,
toys.
but I thought at one time they had a license or something.
I don't know, man. I've never had a figure from Hasbro
properly.
for DBZ in America, bro.
No, might have been
I'm huge fans. I mean, and again,
that's why I asked. I'm
newer
just
stuff,
asking, was
but
it
the
Hasbro?
ones I have are older,
Yeah.
maybe newer. They do, bro. But I mean, if they do, they better make a good darn figure, man. To Seth's point,
because to Seth's point, Hasbro has not made good figures for any IP in a long time.
Yeah,
they've been criticized as cheap. That's why I asked if it was Hasbro. I know they were.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Let's see.
Because usually when something's a bad license, it's you're putting money on Hasbro.
Yeah. That, and I love Dragon Ball Z, man. It's really cool, but it did kind of go downhill. We were talking about that, when the creator passed away. That was pretty sad. That dude was awesome.
Oh yeah,
he had some crazy cool ideas. So, all right, let's see. Let's get into the game. Now we're at the end, so this should be a whole lot of me dying.
A whole lot.
A whole lot.
Well, somebody did a review on this recently.
Ah, not dead.
Well, that didn't take long.
No.
No, it's a cover shooter in which you don't have good cover.
And I've got the stupidest gun in the game.
It's only a one-shot kill when it's in the hands of the enemy.
No, we don't want to make the game too easy.
Yeah, but the problem is the rules aren't consistent.
Oh, so it's like real life.
Yeah.
This dude's got like a bajillion shots.
Oh, finally.
All right. Yeah, I think I'd rather have an M4. Stop him! Oof.
Okay.
Dang it, Bobby. Now I'm going to be back at the beginning. Dirk on it. God, this game sucks. This ending part blows. Ooh, one shot, one kill.
Nice.
I'll try to stay with the shotgun. Let's see how that goes.
Right?
Stop him.
They're just cranky. They haven't had coffee.
Yeah. I'm getting hammered. Come on. Heal. There we go.
Are you a little excited for that list if they released it? Because I mean,
Yes.
like, I could care less. There's nobody, and I know we got to watch because you're coffee and gaming, but it is. But you know, like I'm kind of excited to see what the current establishment is actually going to do.
You know, I do think so. Some of the names have come out. That's, you know,
Right.
We discussed this before, you know, many times that there have been various lawsuits that named people.
Yep.
Now,
Is there any particular name though on that list that would blow your mind? Me personally, no.
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 Nothing surprises me. You know, 50
Dang
years on
it.
this planet, no.
particularly now that we're more and more realizing that for the last 40 years in particular, I mean, it's not new, but in the last 40 years, the media has gotten away with manufactured consent.
Yep.
That they would tell
Oh,
you that there's a
freaking
majority
God.
and people would believe it.
Yep.
I
lot of people-
I don't.
2020, a lot of people
Come
woke up
on.
and realized that the media just pretty much, they count the votes until they get the vote they want.
Yeah, they steer the narrative too, you know. That's the problem. I just don't think there is one name on a list that would really surprise me other than our Lord and
No.
Savior, Jesus H. Christ, being on that list, which we know would not be. But you know what I mean? Like that would be there is no celebrity, no human being on the planet where I'd be like, oh, I'm shocked. I mean, I don't care. It's not my problem. I'm not, you know, very much into the political nonsense of what we've all been through, because we've been here long enough on YouTube, all of us together, that people know where we stand, because we're about the American people, the Australian people. We're about humanity and making the world better for everyone, not just the rich, you know. And it's just interesting to see this all. And we've been talking about this for 6 years now.
Look, the left keeps saying how they want to make the world a better place, yet everything they do is quite the opposite. It's, as Orwell said, everything they do will be named warm and fuzzy. Well, I forget exactly how Orwell described it, but in short, you know what I mean, right? When I say the Ministry of Truth, it's everything it's not.
Well,
The left-
what's his name? The one that's related to the fat, ugly girl. I can't think of his name. That was with John Cena in a movie that's in the Congress.
Amy Schumer.
Thank you.
Amy
Yeah,
Schumer,
Chuck Schumer.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Schumer was saying that they knew about the stuff in Social Security. Now, whether or not people were getting that money, but it was shown that they were getting, you know, that are 300 years old, doesn't matter. The system was broke, and for how long?
Yeah.
The entire time that Social
They
Security
knew
Administration's
all along.
been going, and they never fixed it. They've known about it for over 50 years and haven't fixed it.
Yeah,
That money
living-
went somewhere.
yeah.
It was laundered somewhere, no matter what. And again, I go without. You know, that thing with $5,000 he's talking about? How about you fix the disability? If you know an individual like me gets $1,300 a month, but you need $2,000 a month before Biden's inflation, at where we are now, I want $5,000 a month. And if inflation goes up, I want $100 more than any inflation. Now multiply that by every American in America. And now none of us are poverty. All that money they've wasted, we could have cured everything. We could have helped
pretty
people
much.
on drugs. We could have helped homelessness. We could have ended homelessness and poverty. And
Yeah. Yeah,
ended
the
it
liberals keep
worldwide.
saying how they want to make the world a better place. Yet look at all their spending. They're spending it on, they've spent, 70 plus years funneling $1 billion+ into Africa a day, and it's produced nothing.
More people that hate us.
Yeah, they've pretty much fed and created an overpopulation in Africa on purpose to flood the rest of the world with people who will call you and I subhuman, who think we're nothing but Neanderthals, that we stole everything off them, and they're reclaiming the planet. And these are organizations funded and approved of by the lack of resistance, where these, if you and I started a racial supremacy group, we'd end up in jail very quickly. But a black racial group, they get funded by the U.S. government.
It doesn't actually, David. It's anything but a white guy, because only white people can be racist. They said it in Rescue Me, and they were.
Oh yeah.
And the problem is, simply put, if we have a company that creates something, or we have a job, let's say like the FDA, your job is to keep shit out of our food that's going to hurt us. Yet, I've been a diabetic 40 years. For over 40 years, they have now tripled down and put more shit in the food that's bad for you, more things that causes overweight, diabetes, heart attacks, and this isn't even getting into the 2020 bullshit. We're just talking food. How do they still have a job? David is a writer. If you don't write, you know what I'm saying? You don't have a job. If you don't do what's right, you get let go. Why? For over 50 years have we watched them prosper as the humanity, everyone, has gone and fallen. All of our families could have had an easier life if the money was with the people. I say no more taxes ever for the American people. We have paid enough. The federal government should support and take care of our borders, and that is it. Make sure that all these 3-letter agencies are gone. We don't need people going and getting money for Congress and to do all that. We have GoFundMe's. You can talk to the American people one-on-one on the internet and find out what I want, what Seth wants, what David wants as an Australian in Australia. It's not hard, but they don't. They just keep doing the same stuff. As you love to say, Democrats being Democrats, Republicans letting them do what they do, destroy America. And together, that uniparty has done that. We never should have stopped WW2. We should have went through Russia and taken out communism then. Patton was right. But we know that wasn't the game plan now. But we that are now in our 50s, the children of the 70s and 80s, are tired of waiting for what we already had. We had racial divide was pretty much completely gone when those towers came down, and we were already working that direction prior to that.
There's no BLM until Obama.
Well, and again, now look at what's come out about him. All the groupie stuff that we've said. 1, homosexual. 2, not even an American. Everything Trump said was true. He wasn't born
pretty
here.
much.
They came out with all the information. And we've been calling it, though, Dave. That's the problem. You and I have been seeing this go on forever. And then for Seth coming into this, he sees it. And then the one thing we all had was freedom of speech on any platform. And then they silenced us for that. I want that being dealt with, not to mention with the non-vaccine that they came up with.
Every couple of days, I've got to prove I'm a human to Twitter because they keep getting told I'm manipulating the platform or suspicious activity. Yet they can't define it. As much as I like what Elon does, he's still surrounded by a lot of people. He's got a lot of work to do. There are a lot of people out there who buy into this whole misinformation bullshit, and this social media censorship that it's not just the left. There are plenty of cancel culture on the right too.
Yeah, it's everybody.
And that's why it's been going on for 70 years.
Yep.
Again, a lot of people
social media, that whole backwards. You have the freedom of speech, but not text. No, we have freedom of speech in America. Now, in Australia, you don't have freedom of speech by any means.
No, we don't.
That. In other countries, I get that, but it was literally under attack. And like those of us that saw it, knew it, and talked about it. And look at how many people are just now finding out about it when they went to say something negative.
Here's the thing: the German foreign minister attacked Trump, saying that we in Germany support free speech, but not hate speech. Trump's not welcome here. It's like, you talk about free speech, you jail anybody who tells the truth in Germany.
Yeah. Well, we've got an injustice system, and you see that again. Schumer knowing that there were problems, but yet aren't you supposed to take care of that? And yet they did. They should be all held accountable for not doing their jobs, and all of them be fired. Every single person that has voted against, the insanity things that have come up recently in the last decade. Well, Obama really is what destroyed a lot of this, and there were steps prior, but still, we didn't see it till, really 2016 it was getting bad. 2020 it was horrible, and hopefully we'll recover from this. But we need laws that protect us. Our Constitution did not protect us. The House, the Senate did not protect us. The people that know for a fact that Biden was not president did not win, and they had the proof with the machines. And all they do is push people saying you have to say that he won. No, he didn't win. We already know he didn't. We have the proof. But there has to be something put in place so this never, ever happens again. It'll never freaking happen. Yeah, I said freaking.
Yeah. Because the majority of people play sports, and politics. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but the founders were against political parties originally. They created the Uni Party. The Democrat Party was never the problem is America had political parties. The Democrats tried to create this Uni Party called the Democrat Republican Party, and it didn't last. It broke. And the thing is, America had like 6 political parties, but they all got worn down. And by, I think, what was Lincoln, 18-something, Lincoln was warning about the degradation of democracy, the rise in political violence in America. So, the second and third generation of the revolutionaries portrayed the whole idea of the founders and ending, concentration of power into the hands of the few.
Yeah. But
the founders, because they democratized the post-revolutionary era, basically the people who sat on the sidelines of the revolution said, well, we're going to vote in our best. Well, it's about time we voted in our best interest. So they voted for slavery, voted for all these expensive programs, which at the time, acquisition of Louisiana, giving away vast amounts of land, even though it didn't belong to them. They just basically voted it for themselves. We're going to settle this area. But what about the Chippewa Indians? Nah, we outvoted them, That's the problem with democracy, America started voting for themselves, and that's what the Democrat did, when they talk about America first being selfish. No, bro, you're talking, basically, you already sailed that boat long out of the harbor, about voting for your self-interest. And they're upset now that a lot of other Americans are now waking up and saying, you know what? If black people can vote in their self-interest, so can I. So can North Carolina. So can, and that's basically what happened in with the election of Trump. People voted in their interest. They voted to say basically, well, we're not voting for Bill Gates. We're not voting for George Soros. We're not voting for Jeff Bezos. And yet, if we vote for Biden, that's exactly what we get. And if we vote for Kamala, that's even worse, because she wants to give, like $1 trillion away in so-called reparations.
That never should exist to states that didn't have slaves, to people that were never slaves, and all that insanity. Exactly.
If you're entitled to compensation, but they created this narrative that America benefited from slavery. No, it didn't. The South went broke.
No one benefit from slavery that's alive today. You know what I mean? Like the legitimate slavery of what we're talking about.
But when the slave owners had their slaves taken away, they had no wealth.
No.
There was no wealth.
It was just labor and how people stayed alive, but they don't want to tell the truth.
No, because telling the truth doesn't
think about it, Dave. We were taught how many slaves stayed on the plantations as free men.
Yeah, how many? Yeah.
And had good lives after being freed. But they wanted to free them, but they didn't want to give up the free labor. And that's all they're trying to do with the Indian thing, of filling America full of Indians to do all this work. But we don't have tech work that needs to be filled. And there's plenty of Americans that need jobs. And you don't pay us enough anyway. You give us a nickel and charge us a dime for being
Yeah,
there. You know,
again, it goes back to what I'm saying about the
Yep.
the maximization of profit.
Yeah, man.
The majority of Americans are waking up and realizing that all this foreign labor is merely to cut wages,
and
but they
for
won't
my
invest in
daughter
American youth.
For my daughter who's 27, who now has a 3-year-old, and my sons, the oldest is 33, out there on his own with 2 kids. They can't get what we could get, you and I and or Seth, 20 years
They took away our education. They had
Yep.
they were talking.
Jobs.
They were talking today on Gutfield, I think it was, how they basically feminized college. You know, they drove all the men out of college, and then they asked, "Where's all the good men?" Well, you drove them out of college.
Well, they made college so expensive that normal people couldn't afford it on top of it. Plus, then they threw in all this gender ideology garbage that's just mental illness.
Yeah.
And then you wonder why here you are with $400,000 in university college debt, and you're making literally, I don't know, minimum wage here is like 7 something an hour. Any chance you know what yours is, Seth?
It's close to 15. They've been bumping it. I think it's most places like 14 and some change, I think.
So look at there's not much difference from where we are, 12, 14-hour drive away from me. I think it's 10 hours now I think about it. But and again,
yeah, it's
we're
about
at
10.
7. How the hell are you supposed to live on $7 an hour paying tax? Like, you know that we live in poverty. You force us to live in poverty. Then you take our jobs away. Say you can't work a full 40 hours a week anymore. Now that means full-time jobs don't exist. Now you got to work 2 part-time jobs, working, if you're lucky, 30, which means you're working 60 hours. You're not making salary, and you're making $8 an hour for 2 jobs.
Yeah.
But bringing home out of that $8 an hour, probably $2 an every hour you work is all you get. Everything else goes for taxes,
dang it.
Whether it's insurance, auto insurance, you know, the government, the state, everybody else taking their
there was a study done, and I actually think it originated in the 70s, and I think originally it was Democrats, about the minimum wage and how I think it was called Minimum Wage in the Poverty Trap. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was. I just know that a lot of Democrats used to really hammer home that the minimum wage wasn't enough, right? But at the same time, you know, they were talking about education and all these other investments they're going to make. But if you look at the results that they've implemented with the Department of Education, you've seen every year school results go down, and yet women in particular keep complaining how, the education standards are falling. We need to spend more on education. Bitch, please, in the last 40 years, every 5 years, you've doubled the cost of education, and yet the results are going down. Class sizes, you've shrunk class sizes. Shrinking class sizes does not improve results.
You idiot.
Everything they claim to solve problems with has merely created more problems.
Well, with what they've spent, though, don't you think that would have solved, to your point, already solved the problem? Again, why are we repeating the shit that we know doesn't work, and you guys allow it, and then don't vote the people out that aren't going for the things we want? And again,
because of manufactured consent. Most people don't think. They don't think. They don't.
Is it that,
they
though?
Are so misinformed.
Look at the way that they vote, though, Dave. They literally showed us in 2020 your vote doesn't matter. And in 2024, we took that shit back because we involved the Amish and other people and made everybody be accountable. Now, if they wouldn't have done that, if they wouldn't have done that, Biden would have won again. Actually, if they wouldn't have changed it from Biden, he would have won. I think Biden, they would have tried tricking it, maybe. But with her, it is funny that Trump has beat both females. They tried running, and they still haven't figured out America doesn't want a female president. Quit trying that shit. It ain't never going to work.
No, they don't want to
manufacture women because we know they've already fucked up everything that they have touched. To your point of everything that you have ever spoken about. Because, again, you're going to say that we're misogynistic, but we have the facts. The school education system has been ruined from China and the females running it.
Yeah, women have ruined everything they've touched, and they keep complaining about and they keep complaining that they need more money. And
Yeah.
and
While
that
letting
just comes
men in women's sports, Dave. That's the best part.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Look, women have said in the last couple of years, one of the reasons why they didn't vote Democrat this time round is because they're sick and tired of the political porn where they're told they have to vote for a Democrat or Republicans will take away their rights. Yet, exactly as you said, then they'll put a man into women's sports, into women's locker rooms. Women are waking up to the fact that feminism merely uses them as a political pawn, that they never intend to solve any problem. In fact, they create more problems to profit off the problem. Keep selling you solutions.
Well, and it's that circle that never breaks. Oh, we're going to do something. Again, and I've been stuck on that 96 thing with Christopher Reeves recently.
Yeah.
It's like, that's where we were. We were so positive in trying to unite people that are with disabilities with the regular world. I'm not talking about, and he even said it, we're not talking about handicap ramps so I can get into buildings. We're talking about the disabled, can still do things. Just because we're disabled doesn't mean that we're non-functional. And that's what I've had my whole life. I have been set to fail due to the disabilities that I have with the vision impairment and the diabetes and every other freaking thing. See, I'm doing good, Seth. Story. Freaking thing. But no, man, it's like, and then you hope, right? Star Wars, A New Hope. You hope that the things that are being said are going to be, and we waited for it, and we waited for it. And here we are 30 years later,
but I think it's
dealing with the same thing, only worse. Yeah. It's just ridiculous. And I don't know
what I said before about 3 generations to ruin it does. But eventually what happens with every empire, and I think you've probably seen this in school, every empire has failed.
Yep.
Every failed empire has risen, risen to some moderate position. But like Egypt, 5,600 years, Rome and a few others over 1,000 years, off and on. The British Empire was the last, what they'd call the last empire, really. And look how short it was compared to, and now look at the American Empire. Like, it hasn't even, the American Empire. And again, it was the Democrats keep complaining about the American Empire, but bro, you built it, but because you can't control it anymore, you broke it, and now we're saying
destroyed it, man. Like I was a laborer, right? Seth's family, also a lot of us, we're all family of laborers. When you take the jobs away from the Americans and send them overseas, and now there's no jobs for us. I'm already working disabled, but I'm able to do my job. Then you take the work I can do as a laborer away and send it away to other places. These companies close. The backbone of America was the labor force. That's why we had unions. But then the unions got corrupt. Don't fight for the people anymore. We got rid of the unions.
No,
the unions suck. The unions of yesteryear used to protect the people. They
sold the unions on globalism and says you can have 1 million Americans or 10 million foreigners. Take your pick.
Yep.
And that's what they do every time. They want to build an empire. They always want to go beyond their borders.
Since 2008, I've not worked due to disability, but I couldn't get a job even back then because they closed down almost all the factories. I live in a factory area, and even no matter what, people are always bitching about Latinos or this or that. They're out there working, though. They come here illegally. That needs to end. But either way, we should all be able to work and produce something made in America for America versus having it made in another country and then the shit breaks in a year. How is it you and I 40 years ago could go buy the part? We'd go to Radio Shack and get stuff to fix the stuff that they didn't want. You didn't throw shit out. You fixed it. Nowadays, everything's just throw it out.
We used to have professions like TV repairman.
Yep. Radio repair shops.
You took your TV in. I remember this happening. And they would open it up. And they would quickly, within a minute, replace a part. Now they can't. Now they have to basically. They can't.
There's no TV repair shops, bro. I've got 3 that I can't do due to my vision in my hands because it's small pieces and I don't have.
Yeah, but I mean,
Chinese
the few they have because of legal.
You
Yeah, they have a few that they keep on payroll because of their legal obligations to warranties, right? But you take something in under warranty and they just hand you a new box.
Yep.
Because they can't repair it. They're not made to repair it.
Nope.
Now, I get it with some microelectronics. Some things can't be repaired, like microelectronics. But they're made so that the entire board has to be replaced just for one faulty component.
Instead of, like the one chip that could possibly be when or many of the things you and I have done, Seth, to your point, you've done this stuff too. You've had to fix things. So it's not like you haven't, but look at how much now, like, it's always, you've upgraded your computer, then you can't upgrade it anymore. And then you got to go buy a new one. And then if something goes wrong, it's not as easy as replacing the old computer component as, to our points.
It's gotten to the point with computers, though, where they're obsolete before they come out.
Yep.
The card you bought today might not be the card you go back to the shop to tomorrow. You buy a video card that says, 64 gig RAM, but you turn it on and it's got no better fidelity than any other video card, and they often overheat. You hear the fans spinning, and all you've done is turn it on. Your basic computer supposed to be 100,000 times better than your phone, yet your phone's faster.
The phone's more up to date than the brand new. My 2-year-old phone's more newer than the brand new computer you bought today.
Yeah, your phone runs faster.
Yep. Yeah, it does.
All these, and it's like it's the same when you buy a new computer. 6 months later, it's slow again.
Yep.
And it's constantly being updated. So your hard drive's all scrambled, full of fragments, full of half-downloaded stuff, full of junk all over the place that can't be gotten rid of. Because every time you clean out your temp files, the computer runs slow and basically starts filling it up with junk again. You constantly get messages about viruses and fragmented registries and all this bullshit that is not needed. It's created by geeks to overcomplicate everything.
But remember, Dave, we're the top of the notch when it comes. We've got the best of the best because we brought the best of the best here, and that doesn't work.
No, they didn't. They overcomplicated everything so that they create a permanent industry for themselves. So that you can't fix the computer yourself. No, you have to call Microsoft support. Why? Because they overcomplicated the computer.
Yep. And computers aren't that complicated, man. Like, to do everything that all of us do, right?
Yeah.
There's not that much more from the 80s and 90s computers that have changed, like the internet, right?
Yeah.
Remember, the internet used to be internet, TV, and phone for $99. Now you can barely get internet for less than $80.
Yeah, it used to be. Actually, it was TV, internet, and phone. But you're right.
Yeah, $99, triple play, baby. And now, just the internet alone is damn near $80.
Half your phones are $99 a month.
Yep.
Now, admittedly, some of them cost more than computers now, which is ridiculous, but they are still better than most computers that you buy for $900. You buy a $900 phone or a $900 computer. Most people aren't buying a computer anymore.
You used to be able to get a decent laptop or desktop setup for $500-$600. You know that.
Yeah.
It didn't used to be couple grand for a computer. And again, look, if you're doing things, literally where you need the computer, like Lake, the stuff that Lake does, I get it. Like, and you too, Dave. Like, you're really in me and Seth, we're novelists when it comes to PC stuff, but we know how to do stuff. But they've gotten to the point where even the stuff that we know how, or me as I'm getting older, they're making extra steps that are retarded. Why when I watch YouTube, is it asking me if I'm still watching it when I'm still watching it? Like, obviously I'm watching it. Why are you asking me? Like, that shit shouldn't be. And obviously we're not cyberly secure, because if we were, half of the problems that we have would have already been taken care of. So you need to end that. Oh, we're cyber secure. There is no secure cyber internet. It's all out there. Everything, anything, these things record us. We know it. We talk about something. Next thing you know, you get ads on Google. Like, it's been proven. We've been told that we are wearing tinfoil hats because your phone listens to you when you go, "Oh, hey Siri."
Buy me a drink, Sailor.
Before Hey Siri, they were already recording all the stuff on Facebook, taking family pictures from Facebook, and people from other countries are adding it to porn.
Guess what Amazon did? You no longer own books. You only rent them.
You rent just like the video games. You don't own the game, you rent it.
He's willing to part with huge sum of
it's
cash. We acquire
and there's people like my mom that has tons of books because no different than when we were going through the keep the physical media, because again, we've done this with beta tapes, VHS tapes, to DVD, to Blu-ray, to digital, and all of us have said digital's nice till they started fricking with it and trying to screw with
in the 90s
and classic movies that don't need to be messed with.
Actually,
in the 90s, we warned people and signed petitions, but the young generation just want now, and that's by conditioning. They've been conditioned by and it has started since the 60s. The pill first, it was the pills. I don't want to diet. Give me a pill. We can cure anything. It's that mentality of instant gratification, where instant download, watch now. Netflix has so conditioned people. You can have everything. Digital's faster, quicker. Get it now.
Yeah. There are positives to that. Like for Nate, for example, because he's disabled too, and his left side's paralyzed. So for him to be able to just take your remote and do what you need to do to get to what you want to watch, that's great. But again, for every good little bit that is there, look at all the negative that came with it. And that's like how
when we were signing petitions, we were demanding digital that if you bought it digitally, you have the install, you have it forever. It's not removable. And Google, however, they want to basically, they don't want to sell you storage. They want to rent your storage. So they give you tiny hard drives.
Yep.
So you have to rent storage. The problem is a lot of games now are bigger than the fucking. You get a 250 gig drive, but half of it's full of Windows and installers.
You gotta pay extra for the 500 when you and I would just like my PS3, right?
Dude,
I took out the hard drive and put in a terabyte. My PS4 took it out, put in a terabyte. That's all I need because I'm not a big gamer. But why in the heck is it I can go spend $80 on a terabyte hard drive, but I can only get an Xbox 360 or a PS3? The max was like 500, right? Like they didn't have terabyte, and those were like $1,000, but it was only $100, less than $100 to do it myself. It should already be there, and then they started doing it. And again,
I wanted to get a 2 terabyte drive for my laptop, and they wanted $1,500 for it. It's like, oh man.
Only 18
and the idea of a diskless game, I thought that was great till I played Need for Speed. One of the Need for Speed games I was playing, and then as the game glitched, you couldn't get past that part because it glitched every time you went there on the downloaded version. But if you put the disc in and play, you could get past it.
Look at this lamp. It's covered in Mongolian.
And I know that I'm talking PS3, and we've come a long way since PS3, but that was one of my favorite systems besides PC Day.
Yeah, you look at some of the games; their graphics are 80 gigs just in graphics. There's no way you can download and keep, and that's what they do. They make sure that you have to delete, and then they say, "Oh, you used up all your installs. You have to buy it again." Because you've installed it more than once.
Yep.
Like I said, we used to sign petitions. We used to have, but they wouldn't pass digital rights laws. That you have when you buy something. No, because these big corporations can always outspend you. They can always buy politicians off them. They always manufacture consumers. You're adding costs by. You're adding to our costs. Oh, we have a right to make a profit. It's our property. If you don't like it, go elsewhere. But you've destroyed all the competition.
Yep.
Because Amazon isn't a capitalist, it's a fascist company. It's created by Amazon shouldn't exist. It's created by US taxpayer money.
Yeah.
With AWS, which is 90% funded by the US government, there is no Amazon.
No. And all the mom and pop stores.
Without Amazon's what is it? $1.70 without Amazon's delivery subsidized. What is that? 134% by the US government or some ridiculous sum. Without that subsidy, Amazon can't exist because nobody else. If I want to send you a book, if I want to send you my physical book, it's going to cost me $41. Yeah, Amazon could do it for $1.
Yep.
From China.
Oh yeah, of course. And the worst
you and
part
I can't do that.
All the mom and pop places they put out of business, like you were saying, now you put them all out of business. Now your choice is, you either go without, or then you got to use the evil amp. Like, I don't have Amazon. I try not. I used them a little bit during the pandemic because you had to, because that's just the way it was. But for the most part, like, everything's local here. I go to the Amish and get what I need. I go to the family stores that are still around, you know. And I'm only one person. But now look at how many places are gone because y'all were lazy and wallied it and decided, oh, we're just going to order. And then he's alive. Oh, look, now you can't get this. All these places around you.
Because back then you had the Liberals making the excuse, particularly through the media. It's a what? Oh, you're just playing what if. Yet you know, and yet when they're proven when we're proven right, they don't undo the damage. They just double down.
We follow that circle of nothing changes. And like, that's where we need to be. That's what this administration needs to do because it's what we've been asking for 30 years, man. It's like, I mean, longer for those that are older, obviously, but for a solid 30 years, we just want to be able. A lot of people said it, though.
It's not so much that they're against Amazon. They're against the subsidies they get, and I get it, right? They just, I do. I really do not say that Jeff Bezos should be in jail for just because he's a billionaire. Yet Liberals do. Yet they fund him. You know what I mean? There's this cycle of creating problems and then going against the problem. But then when you point out that, hey, your billionaire friends, Jeff Bezos and George Soros, all made their money off the government because you keep voting for it, they just keep making excuses. Oh, but Republicans. Yeah, I get it. A lot of people who are Democrats today are former Reagan Republicans. And that's because, yes, Bush sold us out. But that's by design. That's what happens. Every time you get a good Republican, they're followed by a Mitch McConnell or you know, for every Republican, we get a Paul Ryan, you know? We always get the failed Democrat who runs as a Republican. Bush was a failed Democrat, right? And this is where people originally were against Trump because he was another Democrat who became a Republican.
Yep. Oh,
but because he kept his word, it was either him or Hillary. That's why he got it in 2016.
Yeah, right? Well, nobody wanted Hillary. We knew how evil she was.
But he won again because he kept his word. He was the first politician who basically did not make too many promises, but kept them all.
And he didn't get paid. The fact he didn't get paid his first presidency says something. He's the first president to not take our money, the tax dollars. That's
actually by law he has to be.
I work for you, and that's how all government should be. No person in government should make more than anyone on disability, for one. Two, I got a great idea. You'll love this, Seth. If we have to pay taxes, then everything government is free. We don't have to pay USPS. We get to mail things for free because we pay taxes.
Easy to find.
And it's about time that we go that way. If I need a social security card or birth certificate, I get it for free. I don't have to pay for it because I pay taxes.
On whom, after all.
You get one or the other. Either you charge us for the U.S., you know,
you either charge us for goods and services or you tax us. It's not both.
Yep, it's not both. I'm tired of double paying and triple paying. Like it's
that's what the study in poverty said.
I'm not actually triply paying. Okay? I figured this out. It's real simple to fix these problems. It's not hard to fix them. And this is the one opportunity in the last 300 years we have to set everything right. Yet we still had people that honestly, with knowing everything, still went out and voted for the communist dictatorship that we had the last 4 years and the last 30 to 100 years, basically.
Well, there's three excuses for being a liberal. One is naivety. You got to count that at least 1/3 of the population are naive. Okay, you've seen it time and time again. Now, naive doesn't mean they believe everybody. They believe a central authority figure like CBS or CNN or a celebrity, right? Hey, you've seen a central authority figure like CBS.
Yeah.
Is that me echoing myself?
Yeah, it was me. It was me. I brought up the YouTube stream and was sharing it, and it went loud for a minute. Sorry.
It happens. It's all right.
Okay, so you got naivety, right? You can account for that.
Well, hold on, they showed this in Family Guy when Lois was running to be principal or president or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it was the same thing. Oh, it's the unknown people. You got to get them right here, right? I mean, like, they've literally thrown this in our faces and explained it to you as an American. And
Yeah.
most Americans were too dumb to see it.
Yeah, but because they're either naive or they're selfish because they're profiting off the chaos, or they love watching their neighbors suffer. Don't underestimate the fact that a lot of people are liberals simply because they want to see somebody more successful than them suffer. Right? Communism is envy, greed, and wrath. Right? Those are the three most driving influences in communism. So there is that. But the third one, of course, is the feminists. Those who want power, those who want darkness. So those three often overlap as well. But you got to account for the fact that only 38% of the population are liberals. The rest are just, they're sick of Republicans failing, they're sick of Democrats failing, so they swap between the two. They don't want to give anyone power to anyone. Americans need 4 political parties, and they need people to not vote for the same one more than once. You've got to spread the power. You've got to decentralize by putting the power into the presidency. Sure, there's limited power there, but they put too much power into the courts. They put too much, and the courts. What's the point of the courts of appeal if they all go to the same school? They all go to the same club, and they all can't be fine,
they went
right?
to school together, they work together, they play together. Like, your interests already aligned because of that. You don't, like, we already know all. Yeah, exactly. And it's like,
America has to be not just against monopolies of companies, but all monopolies of political power, academia, the end of this idea of elite schools, and that only the best come from elite schools. Because it's nepotism, it's corruption, right?
You should want
we've seen that with
everybody
Harvard,
to go to good schools, like not just the rich. Everyone should go to a good school and get a good education to be a productive member of society. But we've not done that in 40 years. It's gone the opposite way.
If somebody does better at school, you don't turn around and say, no, you can't get a better education than the rest of your kids.
Exactly.
There is we can take a lot of problems by saying, why are you cutting special programs for special kids? Why are you cutting programs for? Why are you putting smart kids in dumb classes just to raise the average score? Because you won't count the scores of
because
kids.
Biden says smart kids are smart, or dumb kids are as smart as white kids.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a system that's set up to fail. I'm tired of American failing, man. Like, we've seen it long enough, and there's simple things that can be done to fix these issues. And it only
most of the time, though, like particularly
Trump seems
the
to be the
users
only
against
one,
solutions, because it gives. See, here's the biggest problem: when you have solutions, they have nothing to run on.
Yeah, well, it's time that we stop it, though. We quit repeating the cycle of violence that's been happening. Like, we know
exactly
what they did. Now it's time. Again, our forefathers, treason execution, baby. It's time we go back to those ways. And the world of today, of America,
is full of
can't handle that. There's too many people that are just like, oh, we can't do. No, that's what has to happen. Otherwise, it's going to continue. And you know what? In another 20 years, when they pull the same shit, they'll get away.
Remember,
they'll win.
4 or 5 years ago on Gutfeld and Tucker, they were both talking about how a cabal, every decade, you have a cabal of intellectuals who manipulate our politicians and manipulate the media, and they're the ones who are really ruling the country. The think tanks, the academic, academic commissions, all the unelected. The unelected are running the country, and they were called conspiracy theorists. Gutfeld almost lost his show. But he bounced back and got started Gutfeld Tonight, which just became Gutfeld. But he almost lost the 5. Tucker lost his place at Fox. This is how deeply rooted the corruption is that there is, the left, they love to scream that Fox News is fake news, but they never watch it.
Yeah.
The left love to repeat their talking points. And again, it comes back to you either naive, stupid, or evil. You can't be anything else to be liberal.
I think they're all evil because, again, like, I'm not very religious, But I'm sorry, if your religion is doing the shit that's been going on, I ain't about that. I am not overly religious. I am Christian. Our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, you can go whatever you want, path you go. But when you see the stuff that's coming out and how demonic these people really are, and you see that evil has been winning on a higher level than even humanity, and then you watch as people cheer to let people in illegally that are here to kill us, don't want to make our country better. That's not what any of this was supposed to be. I want to be able to do what I do without being attacked by the state.
You know what really gets me? When you have black people in America talking about decolonization of Africa, people who've never been to Africa, people who won't move to Africa, who talk about decolonization of Africa at the same time they want to bring Africans here because they say, oh, we're the original blueprint. We're humans, it's our right. This is our planet. There is so many problems in America. And again, a lot of them are created by political parties.
About all of them.
What did I tell you?
I can't lie, dude. I think it's about all of them because all they do is keep people at each other's throats, give them some sports ball, and that's all made up. We've learned that all sports,
even the games, we've learned how often have we seen refs make bad decisions, and they're walking around with their fingers in their ear. They're listening to orders. They're not. They're rigging the game.
Oh, dude, the Super Bowl, right? Did you really think? Did you think that the vice president's state wasn't going to win? Like, you could see it a million miles away. And they've been pushing that Ohio bullshit. I don't like the VP because he's half of the reason we're in the situation we're in because his stupid ass voted for Biden.
Look, what?
Yeah, our VP voted for Biden.
But what about the Super Bowl?
You sure you know
Ohio won something. Who was in the Super Bowl?
The Eagles, Philadelphia.
And who they fight?
That's Pennsylvania.
PA. All right. There was something in Ohio where it was college ball. It was college, not NFL.
I don't follow college ball.
I don't either. No. But it was funny because the last game was Ohio versus somebody that they normally couldn't beat. And mysteriously, they won. Imagine that. As the VP is now from Ohio, the train stuff was in Ohio.
He's from Kentucky.
Ohio, he voted for fucking Biden. Sorry, but it came out. But Biden.
I thought. Well, yeah, because he didn't. I mean, he went out and said that he didn't like Trump and didn't approve of him. But then the more
he
that
admitted he made a mistake. I like that.
Yeah,
right, but the point is, I was a veteran. I did this. I did this. Okay, you did everything as every one of us, but we're programmed against Trump for no good reason. And you want me to trust you as the VP? Hell no. You were already blinded and fooled once. That's great that you've changed, and that also brings people that go, "Oh, I messed up. Oh, come with us." I get that. I still don't trust him. I don't trust him. I don't trust Elon. I don't trust none of them.
We're in.
I think it's actually a good idea not to trust
them. Get rid of high fructose corn syrup.
I get it.
Get all this shit out of.
I think it's a good idea not to trust them. To basically say, if you don't do your word, you're out. Basically, you made a mistake. Great, you admitted it. But from now on,
his
verify.
Future will tell us. But David, I don't trust him.
Because you don't have to trust them. That's the point. I don't think you should trust them.
DTA, baby, always through and through. I'm about us. People
trusted the founders, and look what happened there. They brought in slavery and.
What do you mean founders?
There was
what
already
founders?
Slavery before the founders were founded.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. They didn't bring it in.
The slavery existed because the British colonies brought it over in the 1400s. We didn't become a country until the 1776.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I know, but
slavery was meant to be ended.
But people keep saying that, like Americans did slavery. Americans did this, and it's like, no, we didn't.
It was already here before we were founded.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the court case, but I just can't remember its name. There was huge Anthony something sued for the right to keep slaves after the revolution or something. But my point is if somebody gives their word, there should be a legal accountability for that promise. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, at the same time, if we go to the Bible and it says, "Thou shalt not lie," It's pretty simple. We got truth serums. Shoot these suckers with that truth serums. Get the truth. You process them for whatever they've done in the courts, but the courts would have to be fair and fair. Why is it that all this stuff with Trump that we all called was BS is now being called BS, but for the last 8 years, he's been under attack for stuff that he didn't even do and or was wrongfully accused of. And yet we've had to hear it for 8 effing years, man. 8 years.
Well-
We've been told communists and Nazis and everything else that they've attacked Trump, who Stormy Daniels, just this one thing.
Because the
Look at
courts,
Go to the courtyard.
actually, the courts said they have a right to lie. Slander is so you got to prove slander. When in America, slander is actually you got to prove malice. There's a whole lot of problems with the legal system
Oh yeah, it
and
needs to be
undoing
fixed.
that is a huge mess.
Oh, it'll never
It's a
be
huge
fixed though,
mess.
because that's how the corrupt stay in power. If they had their
Yeah.
way, they would have arrested Trump and he'd have been in jail and he wouldn't have been the president. That's what they were
Yeah.
trying to do. We called it what? Mid through his first term, they were going to do some crazy stuff like this. Like we were worried he wouldn't
Oh,
be able to
they've
run the
been-
second time when they started bringing up
Look,
all
they
these
have a
crazy things that made no sense.
It's very hard to convince people to say, look, this whole Nazi business is a fabrication. They created the mess in order to they created a mess. They put a fanatic into power, but half the stuff is just paranoia. They don't even know what a Nazi is. You know what I mean? They just think anybody who's not. We oppose Nazism. The stupid, childish politics of we oppose Nazism. Therefore, everybody opposes us as a Nazi. This childish
Yeah,
politics.
everyone that voted for the Democratic Party the last time was voting for literally communism in America.
Yeah, but remember,
As
communism
the
isn't.
Liberty Bell was literally vandalized by a bunch of foreigners that shouldn't have been here in the first place, that were protesting crap in their country. Our Liberty Bell, and many stupid ass YouTubers didn't even cover it or know what happened. The Liberty Bell was under attack, and they literally graffitied it, and no one gave a shit.
No, because
Americans should have lined up, armed
but
up. and
70
anybody
years
that was there
of dissolving
protected
your
that bell,
culture,
You
look,
know,
70 years of undermining culture, is very hard to undo.
oh, it's
like-
not if you go our way and you do the right things,
Yeah.
but they keep hiding and ducking. Oh, we have to accept it. No, I don't. Your mental illness is your problem. It's called either you wear a helmet or go in a mental institution. It's pretty simple, because we can euthanize you. That's no problem.
Okay.
If you do it to a dog for biting a child, why are we not doing it to people to do other things to children since we're on YouTube?
Just stick to the plan.
Just saying.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, these people, for centuries, our culture was not tolerant. And they created World War II in order to destroy our culture, right? The communists and the Democrats got together,
Good job.
and created a war across Europe and
Like,
killed off
the money.
tens of millions of Europeans.
There's an
Oh,
alarm.
brother, come on. Ford built tanks for the Nazis and America. We won. Then he sued the Allies for destroying his tank building places
Junction box.
in the
Then he
foreign
said it was
countries we were
trucks.
fighting, and they
No, he
gave
said
him.
it was trucks.
It should have been
We know it was
treason.
tanks, but he said it was trucks.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. Opal, yeah,
But
it
right
doesn't
there,
matter.
let's charge his ass
Opal was
now.
Ford.
We know what he
Yeah.
did back then. Okay.
We didn't-
No, you have screwed us. So we're going after all of you from back then. Or go forward and make it so none of this happens again. Take the power away from the government. The state should be able to take care of the people with a little help from the government, and we don't need to pay taxes for any of it, because we all have paid enough for the last 100 years. Period. We're done. It doesn't matter if it's from the
Yeah,
18,
income tax is meant to pay for a war
we're
that
done.
we weren't even involved
Because
in.
we
I
don't
remember
have
it
the
was
money anyway,
yes,
man. How can
Spanish
you tell
War or
me
something.
I need $2,000 to survive, but you only give me 1,300, and then you keep taking the systems in play and taking them away from me? One of the systems I've been on for Social Security Disability, I had Medicare and Medicaid. My Medicare, I got $250 on a card to pay for prescriptions, gas, electric, not petro, but NIPSCO, electric. This year, they added a new thing to it for the elderly where you have to be 63 to be on it. So it threw me off of it. I now get $98, and I got a $10 increase from last year to this year, and then lost $150 on top of it. So
Hey, I'm
I
gonna go
make
grab some
less
coffee. I'll be right
now.
back.
Yep, I make less now, right now in 2025 than I did in 2024. But I make too much on the assistance living in poverty to get the assistance that I need. There is no logic in that. If
No,
I need help, why am I not getting it yet?
because
Millionaires
government
have to find ways
programs
to
are
tar
not
money, you know?
because government programs aren't there to help you. They're there to make government bigger.
Oh, and on top of all the things, like we were saying, instead of fixing the issue, it all makes the issues worse. I have no
Because
doctor,
they
David.
because they need because
The entire
fixing the
time
problem.
you've known me, okay, in
mean,
the area
yeah.
that I live in, I've never had an issue with finding an endocrinologist. Okay, never in the 40 years of having
Yeah.
this horrible disease, never had an issue. There are no freaking doctors in an hour radius of me now.
Because they keep driving people out of medicine. They've made medicine so.
Well, look at
Look,
the COVID not, but it's just the simplest fact of at 50, I can't find a damn doctor for a disease that can kill me in less than 3 days. And yet, look at all the stuff that they're pushing for that doesn't matter. And again, it's just like there's no common sense there. There's no sense at all. There's no
because
logic.
it's all about the vote, and
It
and
is.
you
It
have
comes back
all
to
these
see-
little academic. Both parties are run by academics who sit there at a screen looking at the numbers, saying,
Is
"Well,
it that,
Democrats
or
have
is
this."
it AI, Dave? Seriously, you're here and you're smart too. I don't think it's human beings anymore. I think it's the damn AI. I think they're running programs to see what it does, and then they're following it.
Yeah, well,
I do.
we've spoke about
you
this
and I have
before.
talked for
We
years,
have
man.
spoke
We've
about this
talked
before.
and we love this. But seriously, like all this shit, does that not make more sense in 2025 that these assholes don't have people doing it? It's all AI.
Yeah, but what I mean
I'm
is,
asking
we
'cause I
spoke
don't
about this
know, and I
before.
don't-
We
keep
don't
your
know
eyes
what's
open if
behind.
you see something, please, and let me
Yeah.
know. But I really think it's AI, brother. All of this, all the shit
Yeah.
that we're dealing with is because of AI. If we
Yeah.
shut that shit down, we can have the
I
internet.
do think that a lot of it is experiments. You
That
look at
too.
the different states where they run different programs in different key areas with so-called key demographics, and they are all trying to alter the demographics permanently.
Yeah.
And they actually stated this, so you're not far off that it is all that it's
And
definitely
it's
college.
just a hypothesis. I'm just saying right
No, I'm
here,
just saying that
you
there's
know,
definitely the political parties are not representatives of us.
No.
That's right. That they are running programs,
Yep.
right? And whether it's AI or a collection of college
Yep.
bullshit artists, it doesn't matter at this point.
No, because it doesn't
It's the
work.
fact that they are not representing the people as a whole, right? That they represent the money groups and the money grubbers, and they're deliberately destroying the idea or concept of a free market and capitalism, so that people get so angry that because they think that we're addicted to capitalism. No, bro, we build something for ourselves. Of course we don't want to give it to somebody else for nothing, because that means we're a slave.
Yep.
But that's what they want. That's why they want to take away money. That's why they want to take away our jobs, because they want us to be slaves.
Well, and if you think about it, like slavery never ended; it just changed, because anybody with a 9 to 5 is a slave. If you don't work, you don't eat. You don't eat.
Yeah,
you don't got a
but
place to
that
live,
was
you don't live.
yeah, but
you know,
throughout
But then again,
antiquity,
they
if you didn't
closed
work,
the
you didn't
workforce
eat.
down for the majority of us, and then
Yeah.
sent it other places. And then now that we've seen the failures,
Yeah,
we can't fix it because they won't admit it was a failure.
Look.
And again, if that was the plan to begin with, which is the Rothschild plan, as we both,
yeah.
when you look at how evil the world really is, and you take the butterflies and the sweetness away, and you actually see what's going on, it's a pretty clear path of destruction.
Until the Rothschild
See it.
Central Bank, if you lost your job, you'd go on a farm and you could survive.
Yep.
And even thrive. You could then send your kids to college, right? If you're a farmer, you could have, on one wage, you could afford to send your college. But then came the Rothschild bankers and started sweeping up the wealth of the economy.
Yep.
And how do they do it? They created inflation. We had no inflation until the central banks.
Well, hell, brother, remember during Clinton's administration, those 2 years, 96 that I'm talking about, we didn't have a deficit of money.
Since
We had
1901.
a surplus of money when Clinton was in office. And then after that, his policies when we started going down. And what happened after that? Bush and freaking Obama.
That's what I mean. The
I
Union
want
Party.
President's Day to no longer exist because
Yeah.
no president other than Donald Trump gave a crap about the people in the current history of.
This is what I'm talking about. You look at since 1901, you could live on minimum wage.
Thank you for the date. I knew you'd know it. Thank you. Yeah, man.
And since right, you could live on minimum wage. There was a millionaire. Millionaires and billionaires, right? Speculation of the stock market didn't last, right? If you could create a lot of wealth, but your taxes and spending, you couldn't create permanent wealth, right?
No. And then they did that trick of trying to help other countries and put money in there so that when they pay back, they'll make more money, but it doesn't work. Because I know people that went to Desert Storm and Desert Shield, brother. And after all that happened, they were trying to get the troops to put their money into a thing to help rebuild their society so that you'd get kickbacks from it. That doesn't work. Everything that they have tried for the last 200 years doesn't work. And those of us that are older that had more of an actual education before and again, China's been in our education since the 70s, but it wasn't as bad as it is now by any means. The education you and I got is way far superior than anything they're pushing today. I'm sorry. That's how I feel about what you and I learned.
Fall of Rome. Liberals used to say, with the fall of Rome, liberals used to say, beware of the man who shouts fire and all these things. Liberals used to be against so much. Like if you took a JFK liberal like Robert Kennedy and took him aside and actually lay out all these things, there's not one thing that in his day as a child, but he has watched the progressives take over the party because as people get older, the youth who want everything now, and that's the problem. We gave too much to the youth. We made too many we wanted the youth not to go through what we went through as kids. So we gave them everything. We never made them earn it.
See, I didn't. My kids all did all their stuff, though. I mean,
I'm just talking about society as a whole. The majority didn't. But I think the majority didn't raise their kids the same way as they were raised.
Well,
they decided to go the short route.
Man, they made it where everybody had to work to get by, so there was no parenting. Again, that goes to the
Rothschilds
Jim Carrey movie with the TV show.
Truman
movie, but
Truman Show.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, though. It's like you see all that stuff that went on.
Well, you look at the Democrat Party. You even have the Clintons saying it takes a village. No, it doesn't. That's the thing. The communist liberal mentality is so baked into the Democrat Party now.
Well, it's the Communist Party. Let's be real. I've been saying that for years.
Yeah,
I keep brushing
but
your balls
I forget who it was. A really big academic.
They're not for you and me. These guys suck.
A really big academic came out recently and says, "Isn't it funny? Liberals attack billionaires, yet 800 and something. They did it 834. There's only 1,197 billionaires, right? 834 of them are either Chinese or Indian, right? The vast majority are not American. They may live in America, but they're not American. They're not American citizens, and they don't pay taxes in America. That's only reside there.
Yeah.
They have all their businesses around the world, and they don't pay taxes in America, right? And they pay $1 million a year to the Democrat Party. And he was explaining how the vast majority of millionaires and billionaires are communist Chinese. The majority of communist Chinese, followed by Indians. And they have been pretty much buying and influencing American academia. And you see, the culture doesn't flow down through the and you look at it, right? If you want to go to Hollywood, you have to go to Juilliard or nowhere else. You want to be a comic book writer, you have to go to this school or nowhere else. They are segmenting society further and further into tight bubbles of control, and it's through manufactured consent of the media. And of course, who owns the media? Millionaires and billionaires. So until you break up the media And then you get a look at the left. Every time you talk about breaking up the media, the left suddenly want to protect their no, you're taking away our power. Google said it. If you break us up, you take away our power.
Yep.
And
well, places like BlackRock need to be stopped, though. And again, that's another problem that's here in America. We're not supposed to have all these monopolies, but we have all these monopolies.
But they created monopolies by forcing you to buy insurance, by forcing you to put your money in the pension funds. And the monopolizers control those funds, and they put them back into their own companies. See, when America was booming, you and I could start a business, right? When America was booming,
less than 10 grand.
People started businesses and became millionaires.
But
over
10
time,
grand, David, to start a business back then too. 10 grand was the key number to have to start. And again, it's not easy to come up with $10,000 for the most average people. But if you were in a position where you wanted to do something, it cost about 10 grand to do it.
Yeah.
They took that away by the 2000s. They laughed in your face.
Yeah.
You
can't even start a business on 100 grand. All these so-called success stories. Trump exposed that already, saying all these success stories, like Jeff Bezos, right? I started a business on $100,000. No, you didn't. Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Trump, and many others were all millionaire startups.
Yeah.
Bezos got 100 grand, yes, but he found 9 other people who would put 100 grand into his scheme. And he said it wasn't a business, it was a scheme in which they would get government, they would build up what they called e-commerce at the time, because it was the buzzword at the time. They'd build up their business with all the. He figured out how to get all these grants across the country and added it all up and said to his investors, if we just file all these grant applications, we have $10 million, and we just keep, and we can turn the $10 billion to just keep asking for more. That's what Amazon is. It was a money laundering scheme for government grants and NGOs and all these other things. Yes, he built up his business, but AWS got $600 million from Obama. Before then, Amazon was a bankrupt business kept afloat by government grants for e-commerce and employment grants and all these other grants and programs.
And yet you can't get a grant for your book. Seth and I couldn't get a grant for anything that we might want to do that could.
No, because we're not worthy. We're privileged.
It's not about that, to your point. It's like, and that's the pathetic thing. There are so many of us that are creative that with the right investors or investment, and this goes for comic books or anything, man, really, to be honest with you. And yet we're the dirty dogs and we can't help the Americans, but they got to give us all their money. But we don't want to invest in Americans. We want to bring other people here to run America.
Because again, it comes down to the false Christianity of preaching your LBS, but you have to be a Christian, you have to be poor and humble. You have to give everything to everybody else.
Exactly. Bullshit.
And it just so happens that the non-Christians are the ones getting all the money, and it's the non-Christians who are telling you what a good Christian is.
Exactly.
What a coincidence, right?
Right, and they don't even practice that religion to begin with, because most of them are Muslim or something else. So,
yeah, but what I mean is, if you look at the original religious text, you'll actually see that they're not even supposed to touch money. But they've all become God worshippers, whether they be Muslim or Jew. They've all become God worshippers.
Oh, exactly, man. And
you look at George Soros.
Got to understand,
he's an atheist.
We're going to out you no matter what it is. Like, we don't care. Like, we're not doing it because you're a specific group. We're just saying this is what we've seen. We have the evidence of all of this.
What we have is specific groups who are using them status as a minority to manipulate public opinion.
Yep.
Again, they created the problem in Europe. We can't even find out the true history of most of what happened in Europe between in the periods. But what we do know is that the first transgender clinic was opened in Germany in 1932. We know that there was a massive child exploitation ring involved. We know that a lot of the so-called banned books that were being burnt were child pornography.
Yeah, that point of, like, again, Hitler was installed, but the original theory was, or what was reported, isn't, supposedly he was trying to keep that shit out of his country. And I'm not forgiving him for what happened. And
No,
that's
but
not what
here's
we're
the thing
saying.
that I met
is
survivors,
true, and he was trying to get that shit out of Australia, Germany, and all of that. Austria, I mean. That makes sense. I don't want that stuff here. We don't. And then look, we've been beaten over the head, Seth, for the last 5 years that we're wrong and we're not Christians and that it's okay. It's okay. You had your turn. Now it's our turn to do the things we want to do, even though we're sexual deviants that shouldn't even be on the street, let alone breathing, in my opinion. And that's just the evil of the world. And nobody will address it. Like, if we have to have a holy war, then let's do it. I'm ready. I am tired.
And I've said this to a lot of people
saying that it's okay. It's not okay. Nothing that we have lived through, anybody alive today has lived through, should have happened. The last 2 decades should not have happened.
We have been punished for slavery. We've been punished for the Nazis. But here's the thing:
we didn't even do things. Don't you feel bad that there were black slaves and no? Because you know what? The
blacks had slaves.
Sold them into slavery. And if you
blacks had slaves
nation,
before us and after us, they still do.
Exactly.
There was a woman arrested the other day for slavery because she was so arrogant that she took a slave to Britain with her. That's how arrogant some people are.
Well, people don't understand in America. Here's the problem with dumbass Americans. They don't leave the country. They don't understand the rights that we have that other nations really don't, and how much we have, and they take it for granted, right? And then you see like the BS that was going on with them killing the animals and the squirrel and all that kind of stuff they were going through. We never should have saw that stuff. There are pedophiles that should have happened to. There are traitors that should have happened to. But a guy with a little squirrel, and then they did what they did, that whole department would be gone. They wouldn't have got in my house, for one. But that's nonsensical BS that never should have happened. Yet we watched it happen.
You know what's really weird? Democrats and Republicans got together. I forget exactly which year it was. You might remember it. When Democrats and Republicans got together and forced Japan to raise the age of consent from 13 to 16, right? And it's been, technically it's 17 with a few rules, but you know what I mean, right? The Republicans and Democrats got together and forced Japan to raise its age of consent, but they've never done it with any other country, right? Which is weird in its own thing, but it's weird in itself that they picked Japan to attack Japan over age of consent. But now you have the Democrats who want to lower it. You know what I mean? It's like they don't believe in anything. You know what I mean?
Well, they're pedophiles. They're not. Come on, let's be honest, dude. They're not Democrat. Those are pedophiles that are wanting to lower the sexual age to 13.
No. I'm talking about the fact that I'm talking about the people who don't resist.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not, those who are directly wanting to lower it to less than 15 are definitely what you said. But I'm talking about the people 13. Who don't resist.
Because in Japan it was 13. They raised it to 16. And then these 6 shits want to reverse what was reversed back to worse, probably like 12. I mean, I know you're saying 15. You know damn well that's not where they'll stop. They never do.
No, we know that. And what I'm saying is the people who changed it aren't speaking out. So. And originally it was going to be 15, right? Because the scientific study came out and says after 15, you can formally consent, right? You have the ability to consent. You have the ability to understand and consent from about 15 onwards. But they made it 16 to be on the safe side of those few people with developmental, just to be on the safe side of developmental processes, right? Which I think, right, we can set that in stone and forever not change it. And you're right, there are those who want to change it, and those, once you give them an inch, will take a mile, right?
Correct.
But the problem is, the people who changed it in the first place aren't speaking up and saying, but we solved this problem.
Exactly. Yep. 100%.
And yet when you talk about banning abortion, they say, no, abortion's legal. You can't undo it. It's like, well, the age of consent, you can't undo that.
Yep.
And it should be one age of consent, full stop. But no, you have so many complex rules. Why? Because the government is in the business of creating fiefdoms, not in the creation of serving the people. They create these little kingdoms and give each little group a little win so that they will keep voting for the master, the manipulators. And again, the manipulators aren't elected. They are hot. And you said they're probably using AI now, like Google, and they're just hiding in their little, private islands doing God knows what to God knows who, because they can get away with everything because they're intelligence assets, they're not allowed to be touched.
Well, it's like Bill Gates, man, all the evil shit he's done, and then you see it, yet they cover it, and he's still breathing. I mean, like,
I'm
Frank Castle hasn't taken him out yet. I mean, like, literally, the stuff that some of these people are doing, purposely making it so we don't. Oh, okay, I gotta switch something real fast here. I apologize.
Yeah,
the eggs. I gotta go with the chickens here for a minute. Now, Seth, you have chickens. Do you remember? I'm pretty sure it was you and I that were discussing it. I could be wrong. Remember when they put stuff in the feed for the chickens at the store, and the chickens weren't laying eggs?
Yep.
And remember, way back in the day, we had Oprah talking about mad cow disease when it wasn't even in America or the cows in America. Then we've got the food stuff they messed with. That didn't work. When they tried to raise the egg prices for no reasons, the farmers and me and you were saying, go to the farmers. Don't go to Walmart. Don't go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Go to the local farmers. They'll hook you up. Remember us talking about that? Now add all the aluminum that has now been proven that they have been putting in the ground,
Alzheimer's,
in the air to the ground. What do chickens do? They peck the ground. So what if this bird flu is from all the aluminum and shit they put in the air that's killing the chickens? So again, they can purposely raise the egg price because eggs are one of the best proteins and have proven in the last 3 years it's better than protein powder. And of course, we knew this, David. But in the Great Depression, our government gave people chickens so they wouldn't freaking starve. And then now, we're paying $5, $6, $7, $8 for a dozen. I still pay $4 a dozen for farm
they took away
fresh eggs. $3 to $4 a dozen, but it's farm fresh, baby, from chickens that I help feed.
Remember they went around trying to take water off people too. Well, you can't store water. That's a government asset. There's so many people who just want to create their little fiefdoms of power. They find what the government doesn't control, and they say, well, let's create a water board, a water commission, water and health commissions, and all these other commissions. And then they basically create problems to keep them in power. I had this thing, right? When I went to Vietnam, a lot of people would approach me and tell me their war stories because nobody would listen, right?
Right.
And a lot of people were telling me, and the biggest thing in Vietnam is their regret, right? The biggest thing they regret is the second revolution. Putting Ho Chi Minh in power was the worst thing they did. But they did it because they were constantly push. The farmers were having their chickens taken off them because of health issues. They had their oxen they'd have a vaccine given to them and their children would die. That's exactly the same thing. They're doing it to you now. Exactly what they did to Vietnam.
Well, brother, how is it that Teddy Roosevelt, the shit that killed him, had that 40 chromosome in it, and then that's what Pfizer used, and then stripped that chromosome out so you didn't see it? So stuff we haven't seen since Roosevelt's era has now been put in human beings that did the COVID shot. Okay? That stuff just recently came out, and I shared that too. But again, we've been talking about the bioengineer crap that they've been doing to humanity, and it still doesn't make any sense to me. If my pancreas doesn't work and stem cells could literally cure it, then why the hell can't I go to a doctor and get the health care I need? No, instead I have no doctors. Instead, you have to be on this insulin that when I was first diabetic cost $25 a vial. Nowadays it's thousands of dollars for no reason when my own stem cells could be used to cure this. But nobody will do it. Nobody will pay for it. There's no option.
Oops. I've glitched.
It's okay.
I was back.
Yep. Cool.
It's the eugenics society, right? They've been trying to wipe out Western civilization for the last 100 years. They've been manipulating, trying to create one world people, one world government, one world religion, right? You know, the unholy trinity of 666 is actually a symbol known as bet, bet, bet. 3 perfections. 1, the perfection of humanity, the perfection of government, and the perfection of religion. Those 3 symbols are the symbols of perfection that's known as 666. It's actually bet, bet, bet. It's right. People don't understand that for centuries now, religious leaders have been chosen by a death cult, basically. That it's the same with presidents. A lot of your presidents were installed, not elected. You know, the elections don't matter.
That for forever. You have the illusion of choice. You don't.
Yeah. And they actually admitted that Roosevelt was installed, that they rigged the elections in Pennsylvania, and they just counted in New York until they got the votes they wanted, and threw the rest into the fire.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there was just Americans have no idea the vast majority have no idea because they either don't care or because it hurts their feelings so much they'd rather not know.
Well, and on top of the decades of being lied to, like, again, okay, it's real simple. I want an amendment now. First off, we need to redo the Constitution. Like, I love the Constitution we have, but we need amendments to stop what's happened and to protect.
Yeah, you know what? You know, hey, look, I wrote book, you know, in my books, right? I talked about rights and responsibilities in my books, right? And this is one of the things that inspired me to write is to write something that's anti-Orwellian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To do exactly the opposite of liberalism. That's why I include sex. That's why I include adult themes, is to be anti-Orwellian, to basically be everything against what Orwell says that the liberal establishment is. They're anti-sex, they're anti-male, they're anti... They actually want to destroy establishment as it is to create their own 4 pillars. You know, 5 pillars, but you know, a lot of people don't understand this about 1984, though. It's written in the past tense for a reason. They're talking about what happened in the past.
Yeah, we've already lived 1984, but they don't understand that. Yeah.
That 1984 was
not the year either of smart ass. We're talking about the actual book for anybody that starts being a joker here. We're being like legitimately.
Orwell wrote it as basically saying, Orwell wrote it. He was basically saying, right, Animal Farm is the beginning, 1984 is the end, right? The revolution starts with Animal Farm, where the animals take over the farm, right?
Correct.
In 1984, the animals are basically now slaves, and those few farmers who are left, like, you know, who run the show, are so inept and corrupt that they don't see the proletariat rising. You know, the animals the animals are rising up against them as well. You know, that they become a massive tide of. And you know, my theory is that the 3rd book in the series should be Starship Troopers.
Or Soylent Green, just because I love throwing that one in there.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. But yeah, Starship Troopers, the army turns around and says, "We're sick of this shit," and they cut the head off the snake.
Yeah, yeah, man.
The veteran uprising, I think it was called, wasn't it? In Starship Troopers.
I believe so, yeah, man. I haven't seen the movie in forever, but damn, that was.
But I'm saying, if you want the holy trinity of,
I see
you got Animal Farm, 1984, and Starship Troopers.
Hell yeah! Well, that just sounds like a good Saturday night, David.
Yeah, it does. But you know, that's basically why I wrote. And I know, you know, the liberal establishment hate, but you know, the thing is, every liberal society has failed.
Yeah, man.
You look at ancient Greece, you look at the fall of Rome, you look at every liberal democracy. They've turned into dictatorships, they've tried to build empires, and they failed. And every empire has shrunk, right? Every empire hasn't been as big as the last empire, and every empire has collapsed faster, right?
Well, hell, brother, even the American Empire, again, go back to the 70s, 80s, 90s, even 2000s compared to today, man. And look at what we've actually lost. And that's the problem, because nobody's telling them the truth. The news does nothing but lie like it's always done. You know?
And unfortunately, the politicians believe are just sitting in their office huffing their own farts because they don't want to upset their paymasters.
Yep. Well, and there's so many people that we watched it live with, those that were forced into a shot because if they didn't, they'd lose their job, which means they couldn't feed their family. And that shit should have been illegal from day dot, because that's not what America was supposed to be. None of what we lived through should have happened, and our children shouldn't have had to deal with it. And now the true scariness is they infected humanity with whatever that was that they shot them up with, and we don't know the side effects. This could be the dying days of our race, of humanity. Like, they don't seem to understand that. Worldwide, this could all end humanity globally. The stupid shit they just got away with.
Remember, right? They're driven by a fanaticism that you and I just simply cannot fathom. How fanatical
remember,
they are.
They are from the fallen angels, which means devils. That was the, you know,
they believe that they're promised a higher,
and will live forever.
That's right, because they know their life is short, that they'll do whatever they can. They believe they're securing their place in the forever after.
Yep.
So they don't care what we say or what we do. All they care about is the fact that some voice in the dark is telling them what to do, and they're basically nodding along. And for all we know, that voice is just the speaker behind the wall.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, you could do that with any religion, but I go back to my original statement, man.
No, I'm not talking about real. I'm talking about their religion. You know, their worship of the voice.
I get you, but like, for as strong as here you go. For as strong as Seth is, and we are in religion and being able to discuss Judaism, Christianity, you know, we can actually discuss it like grown ass men and not get butthurt, right?
Yes.
But for them, whatever their religion is, whether it's
it's a sacred cow, which they won't even speak the name.
They feel just as strong for their beliefs as I do and Seth do for Christianity, though. Right?
But they lie about their beliefs.
Right. No, and I'm not saying they don't, but you see how insane that is? Like, here's Jesus, here's this, here's the stuff we know for sure, and they're listening to, which could be a speaker behind a wall. You know, we don't know because we're not into their stuff at all.
No, because they hide their religion. They hide their true beliefs.
Yes.
They meet in excommunicable churches, but then on Saturday nights they sneak off to their masonry lodges, and even then they break up into little groups and sneak off to their secret islands or their Bohemian groves.
Yeah.
So they have groups within groups within groups, and they all have their own. And it comes down to that they all have their little thing that they're thinking they're hearing the voice of God. But we've all heard, right, that the voice of God speaks to many, not one.
Exactly.
So the voice that speaks alone in the dark is the devil. The voice that would speak to many in the light is God.
Yep. Hence the belief.
So we know that their secret meanings are not with God.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and again, if you believe you're part of the fallen angels that rebelled against God in the first place,
yeah, but remember
brother,
to that window.
Yeah, but they think no, that they rebelled against authoritarianism.
Yeah,
they're trying
to it's so silly, because if what's true, and again, there's so many, whatever you want to believe, you can find it on the interwebs. But like this shit in the Middle East, where they were saying there were literally giants in the Middle East, you know, skeleton remains and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we find out that was actually all falsified.
Yeah, falsified. Yes, exactly, fossils. So I mean, it's like, but you don't see that on page one.
No.
See the truth.
We know the humans
demand the truth, all of it. It is time.
We know that early humans were taller. Right, they were around. Correct. We know they were slightly taller, between 6. That even in Greek times, they said there was a few above. Any human above 6 foot was called a giant. We know that there were humans between 6 and 8 feet in that period.
Correct.
and going back, and that over time our heights have averaged out. In the past, it used to be like women were really short and men were really tall, right?
Yep.
Know how to shoot it.
But over time, the heights are sort of averaged.
And could that not be due to some of the shit they're putting in our foods and making it that way too? Makes you wonder.
Yeah, we don't know how long the human engineering
we
project has gone on, but we do know that food does affect, and perhaps it is true that merely just by having better diets, or the fact that we don't overeat as much as we remember, humans used to overeat.
People do. They do. They graze. They overeat. You don't need to eat. Look, man, you've known me long enough. My weight has dramatically gone down after eating way healthier, cutting out sugar completely. I only eat natural sugars now, literally fruits. And here's the serious question. If you need to sweeten something, why do you need anything other than honey or real maple syrup? Why do you need white sugar, that shit that's bad for you? You know, you don't really need anything other than that. You have fruit that can sweeten stuff up. You have honey.
It is possible, right, that I do know for a fact, right, that the reason why they introduced cane sugar is because they've been like, since the 1700s, they've been trying to find a way to make humans work longer. And I think sugar, when they initially introduced sugar, they had a rush of, productivity. So they became addicted to that high productivity, short lifespan.
Right.
Because remember, they don't care. They don't want you to retire. They want you to die.
Yeah.
You finish work, you're useless in their eyes. They want you to die. Because you're nothing but
Mr.
labor
Bond,
to
I want
them.
you to die.
No, Mr. Bond, I want you to die. Yeah.
Right? That's why we don't have a
like,
retirement plan
serious
built
question,
into the
Dave.
economy.
Think about that for a minute. Like, seriously, in your diet, if you're to cut out all that sugar and all the stuff that's bad, high fructose corn syrup and all that, why do you need anything other than honey or maple syrup and or fruit? I'm serious. Like, I want an actual answer from anyone at any point, because to me, logically speaking, you can sweeten everything you need with fruit, honey, or maple syrup, man. You don't need anything else. And if we were to change that in the dietary system and the FDA did its job and got rid of all the poisons that are in every other thing that we're eating, just imagine that, man. How much?
RFK asked the question of the FDA, why do we need this in our food? And they would not answer. They would not say why they won't ban certain chemicals or certain products or certain food.
And why has it been added to our food as it's a byproduct of something else? We can't even get the truth about fluoride. And come on, man. It's from aluminium, or aluminum as Americans call it. A byproduct.
Well, aluminum. That's a separation of the aluminum salts and the gas that comes off it.
And the toothpaste
it's a
says
byproduct.
that you swallow the toothpaste to call poison control. I use baking soda.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I absolutely don't understand why people are the way they are, but there's definitely, I would say, a lot to do with how people are raised in this that they want obedience. Instead of, so many people just can't reconcile the fact that they are authoritarians themselves, that they want to, but at the same time, they want to be popular, they want to be loved. So we do understand from Orwell's perspective that the human condition is contradictory in its nature. And that instead of saying racism is bad or this is bad or that is bad, we should just say England's English, Americans, Americans, Africans, Africans. We should Asians, Asians. We should actually be able to say that without fearing a word.
We're going to be considered racist.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Nazis weren't racist. They were selective, but they weren't racist.
Yeah, they kill everybody.
No, they killed anybody who opposed them. Right.
Exactly.
That was it. They would
That's
just
why
kill
I keep
opposite.
telling everybody, man. I'm like Dirty Harry. I'm not racist. I hate everybody.
No, but I met people, right? And I've spoken with people. And again, if you go back to not just Vietnam, if you go back to the World War II era, I've met veterans and people who spoke then. They said, now there are plenty of Jewish Nazis. They just won't talk about it because they want to dumb everything down. But the fact is, the Nazis only did not kill people based on race or religion. They killed them simply because they opposed them.
Yep. And it's not really any different than because I've talked with people.
Any dictatorship.
Well,
it shouldn't be just one dictatorship. It should be every dictatorship.
Bro. Like the stuff you deal with in Australia that we don't deal with in America, like that people don't know. But all the differences between our two countries, right?
Yeah.
And because again, Americans don't understand the rights we have versus the rights you don't have that we do have.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, all I want is some of your Australian beef to come here, and we should be trading and good foods and good ties and fixing everything. And all I have seen as I look back for the last 40 years is the destruction of everything good, man. Whether it's business, food, health.
And again, it's because the people in power, Tucker Carlson said it, the people in power, are they bored, incompetent, or stupid? And he pretty much said all three. You know, they've got so much power, they've got so much wealth, they don't have to work for it, they don't have to study, they don't have to put in any effort. If they want an expert, they could just pick up the phone. And the problem is because they can't tell if the expert's good or bad, and a lot of it is just basically the same education they got at Harvard, and they just hear what they want to hear, and so that it's just bad money chasing. And the only way forward is to basically watch it all collapse, because humanity just can't be told. Humanity can't be saved. Even the Bible says that you can't save everybody. Those who want to be saved will be saved. Those who don't want to be saved will pretty much go down with the sinking ship.
Oh yeah,
and we know they were talking about liberalism because it was written in an era before liberalism, and liberalism is the New World Order. And they're talking about, Revelations is about the end of the New World Order.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, we're watching some of them piss off and flee now, which is great because I mean, it was a sad state of affair to see the things that have been destroyed and people like us talk about it. And again, younger generations have no clue. I've watched younger generations spread the misinformation without even thinking twice. Oh, the stuff that Donald Trump, you'll love this. All the stuff that Donald Trump just signed into office now makes it where people that need Medicaid or food stamps can't get it. And I go, you're wrong. Either you misread it or misunderstood it. But there's no way, because that is federal, not state. EBT is state. The stuff that Mr. Trump has been doing is federal and has nothing to do. That would be the state that did that. And they had to go.
And the reason why some states
thought, because they heard it on the whatever, that what Trump did through anybody trying to get on. I go, okay, first off, does that affect you? No. Who gives a fuck? Sorry.
Here's the thing. They keep talking about free speech.
You're misinforming. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, they keep talking about free speech. So they go on the internet and lie about Trump, and then say we've got to remove Trump. And then when you try to tell them that they're wrong, no, it's my opinion. I have the right. But then they turn around and say, "Oh, you can't talk about COVID. You're not, or gender. You're not." So I'm just saying, right? They are either stupid, evil, or hypocrite, or they're just manipulative. They're evil. They're either stupid or naive. And most of the people who argue with you are, I'm going to basically say, you're right, they're evil, right? They are genuinely, knowingly misleading you because they are just saying something to get rid of the opposition. Okay. And therefore, and I know this is controversial, this is what they've been saying about our history, that we don't know what happened in the 1930s, the 1920s, or the 1900s, because they won't teach the history. They just give you a few paragraphs. They don't tell you all the context.
And most of the people that were alive during that time frame are now all dead.
But those who I've spoken to keep saying it's a lot more complex. It wasn't race, it wasn't gender, it wasn't about religion. Those who lived under the Nazi regime, if you followed the law to the letter of the law, you were safe. They didn't touch you.
Kind of like what they were trying to do from 2020 to 24 in here in America, if you think about it.
Yeah,
It failed
that's
because we're
exactly
still
right.
armed
If
we
you
put up
and you
with
look
it.
at Antifa and all their violence mobs going around, it's exactly what the Nazis did.
Yep.
That's why they don't want you to know what the Nazis did,
because
then
they
you'll
can
find out
repeat
that
history again. And so for
Yes.
300 years, we've been repeating the same bullshit lie of history. Why I say we need to be told the truth. I want an amendment
Yes.
that says in that we, the people, get to know the truth, be it truth serum or whatever. And then when we know what they did 100% and all the money they used our tax dollars to make,
that's why I'm
our money.
against. That's
It
why
comes
I'm
back
against.
to us, and or check
Yeah.
this out. That could fund the government and the states. If we take all these billionaires' money that they illegally got off our tax dollars to begin with, off
Yeah.
evil shit, and took it away from them and their families, you deport all of them. If you don't, like, if you're not gonna put them underground where they belong, then why don't you send them to all these countries they love so much, like Pakistan or
Yeah,
you know,
you want to
let's
teach
send them there,
Shenzhen
let
in
them deal.
Pakistan?
We're great.
Go.
Into
Go.
the wilds of Java. Sounds like they were hit by a tsunami.
So I like it, man. I think that's how we would fix the problem of the last 300 years. And again, we have to start telling the truth.
Closest landmark.
And until we have that, we're never going to know. Other than, and then we get yelled at for speculating or having an idea. Again, we're just
we know
conversating
the
here.
Nazis
That's
did
it.
a
This is
lot of horrific
conversation.
shit.
Have to throw up
You know?
You can't deny that. And a lot of people are living with their head up their ass and think that the Nazis didn't do anything wrong. You got your head up your ass because they did a lot of evil shit. Not what they did to the 600,000 in the camps, but I'm talking about the 19 million civilians they murdered. But then again, we have the 10 million that were murdered in Ukraine by the communists after they took over. We got the Polish. How many million Poles were put to the slaughter by the Soviets? So all this Antifa bullshit. You're both. It's like the Middle East crisis. If you ain't Christian, you ain't worth worrying about because you are the problem, not the solution to the Middle East crisis. You are perpetuating religious wars by being in the religion of that war.
Yep.
You're not
And
a
as an
refugee
American,
because you are
and
still
you as an
perpetuating
Australian,
that
our
war.
tax dollars shouldn't go for any of that shit. No,
Yeah,
that's
But
not our
because they're-
responsibility or problem. They ain't the 51st state.
Here's the
So I
thing.
don't give a shit.
Look, I get it. In the 70s, they said if we drain the Middle East of oil, they would have no money for their bullshit. The problem is they underestimated how much oil they had. And then by giving them lots of money, they bought in everything else, knowing that when oil runs out, they now have a web of power and influence across the... that's by design. Just remember, the cult in power are not Christian. They are anti-Christian. So they support everything anti-Christian.
Yep.
So they tell us one thing and do another, right? That's what all was explaining. That
Come on.
No.
And I'm just tired of the cycles, man. Like they
it
talk
is-
about abusive relationships and ending the
It
cycles.
is.
Yet our government is the biggest bully of all.
yeah, the biggest
And the
the
worst
biggest bully.
relationship an American has ever had is with the state and government because they've been screwing us from day dot.
Yeah,
With
it
our
is
own
an
money.
abusive relationship. And again, it comes down to the fact that they know that only a minority in it. They know by abusing, they can't select you and I and say they can reprogram us. But what they can do is look at patterns and say, well, if 8 out of 10 follow us, that's all we need.
Yep.
The majority. All they have to do is appeal to the majority, right? That's all they care about is their precious majorities. And because the Democrats were losing their majority, they found new ones in the Middle East and in Africa, particularly in the Middle East and Africa. And now, of course, when that's dying because a lot of actually, originally it was Latinos, right? They abandoned the Latinos for the Africans, and then they're abandoning the Africans for the Chinese and the Middle East. And now they're abandoning them and just for the Indians, because, the Chinese market's dying. Well, because the Chinese don't want your shit, They want to rule you. They don't want to buy anything off you. They want to just sell.
Yep.
Now, a lot of Chinese, they're literally right. They're not just not having kids. Have you seen the reports about the suicide rate in China?
I have not, but we gotta watch it because of YouTube. And I think Seth wants to rap.
Yeah, I got to roll. Just
We're gonna
finish
be
your thought real quick,
debating
David.
that with David, as always. This
Okay.
is fun.
The suicide rate in China last year has doubled.
I was gonna say I thought it tripled, but
Gotcha.
okay, only doubled.
No, yeah, but don't forget it was already high off 2016, so it's triple the US. That's what I'm saying. It's triple the US rate. It used to be lower than US, but it's now the worst in the world. And again, simple fact is liberals don't care because they think the worthless are taking themselves out.
Nice. Hey, thanks everybody for being here. 53 people watching over on X, 1 person over on David's, 2 people over on YouTube. Hey, cool. Awesome. And there's multiple people watching over on Rumble. It's kind of fluctuated between 5 and 10. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for being here. We're going to continue next week with some more Uncharted 2 because I enjoy the Uncharted series. Maybe one of these days we'll get back over to Red Dead, but for right now, I enjoy the Uncharted. I've got to go. We could talk after the stream because I'll tell you what's going on, why I've got to roll out. Hey, Ernie is watching over on X. What's up, man? Glad you're here. Thanks for tuning in. We're getting ready to head out of here. We'll be back Friday night with more of the men's room, 9 p.m. Then we'll be back here next week with Coffee and Game. Actually, you know what? I don't think next week's going to work. We'll talk about it off air.
Maybe
Stay
we'll do
tuned.
a pre-recorded. Check out Fun University. Eventually, I'll be interviewing David and Seth and many other people that I stream with because that is one of my second channels that we're going to be doing just fun stuff. That's why you see
all of that can be down below in the description. So buy David's book. Check out Adam's channels. All that stuff's down below in the description. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Good day, sir.
Later, dudes.
Good night, Jim Bob.
Hell, I got to go.
Peace out.
Burn in hell, New World Order. Fuck you. Fuck you, New World Order. Fuck you, Bill Gates.
I love you. You gotta do better than that. I love you.